Hey, this is Jill Simonello with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, and in case you missed it, this is not a pickup truck. Nope, it's an electric car. And what is really cool about this specific vehicle is it is the first all-electric only vehicle from Volvo. So, yep, we've seen the Volvo C40 Recharge, which is all-electric, but it also has a gasoline counterpart. This does not. So, this is the Volvo C40 Recharge, and even though it's related to the XC40, it has different styling and it is just really cool. So in addition to this fjord blue color, which I really love, I'm just gonna give you the spoiler alert right now. I really like this car. So in this video, I'm gonna give you some driving impressions and I'm gonna take you through the interior and exterior, and I will tell you a couple things that I don't like. So let's take a closer look right now. Okay, so let's start with some nuts and bolts here. And we'll just start right here because this is not an engine cover. Instead, it is a front cover, so a front trunk where you can store some things. They've got the charging cable in here, but if you wanted to put it in the back, you could do that and put something else in here. So, front trunk, not an engine. Which means that really the only thing that you're gonna have to deal with up here is your windshield washer fluid, which will go right here. No dipstick, no oil, no engine. But this does have an electric motor, and that will deliver 402 horsepower and 486 pound-feet of torque. And when we get into the driving impressions coming up next, you'll see that that's actually a lot of fun. So, one more thing. Base price for this vehicle is going to be just under $60,000, and actually the only price for this vehicle is going to be just under $60,000 because this is mono spec. The only thing you choose on this vehicle is going to be paint color, and the only option is going to be the paint color that has special things in it. So really you're looking at just over $60,000 for this vehicle. That's it. I've now been driving the Volvo C40 Recharge for a couple of hours, and I have to tell you, first impressions are overall incredibly favorable. I love how it drives, I love how it handles, and I really love the overall interior quietness. So you don't have a lot of exterior noise creeping in. There is a little bit of tire noise, but Volvo has done a really good job with sound dampening materials in order to mitigate some of that extra sound coming into the cabin. I've really been enjoying the one pedal driving with the, basically, if you're not familiar, what that is you push down on the accelerator, no gas here, so no gas pedal, but push down on the accelerator and lift off to accelerate and then slow down the vehicle. So here I am lifting off of the accelerator pedal and the vehicle is slowing down and it can come to a complete stop. So I've actually touched the brake pedal very little during my drive, and what I like about that is the fact that it makes you really pay attention to the road. It makes you pay attention to your surroundings, and in a way, and it's not the same, but it gives you a similar feeling to if you're driving manual transmission. So it gives you a little bit more connection to the road because you have to pay attention to what's going on up there so you know when to start lifting off the pedal, because lifting off the throttle doesn't immediately slow the vehicle down. So I like that it makes you pay attention and it makes you a little bit more connected to the driving experience. We've been driving up and down mountains and through canyons, on highways, so I've had several different kinds of driving experiences, and I really appreciated the fact that this is very good on curvy roads, and it has a lower center of gravity, coupe-like styling, so that means you can get a little bit aggressive while you're driving, and it's actually a lot of fun. I wouldn't normally say that about an SUV, but it is. So in terms of the actual driving position, Volvo has done a really good job of making this comfortable for a variety of sizes of people. So I'm on the petite side of things, and I find this driver's seat incredibly comfortable. The seats themselves hit me in all of the right places. Nothing is poking me funny. I like the thigh, cushion. It's not too long. The side bolsters don't poke me in a weird place, and just everything feels really good. Plus, I can pump the seat up high that I have good visibility out the front and the side windows. Now, I'm going to say one of the only things that I don't like about this driving position. And in fact, one of the only things I don't like about this vehicle is going to be the fact that right there, that rear window is very narrow. So your rear visibility is actually kind of hindered because you can't see out of it. So that's taken me a little bit of getting used to, because you just, you know, you have to kind of duck down to be able to see what's going on behind you. So good visibility out the front and the side, but once you are looking at the back, yeah, you need to make sure you're paying attention to your side mirrors so that you know what's coming up behind you, because you're not really going to see it out the rear. So that is my one big complaint. I do have another complaint, so let's talk about that as we look at the interior of the vehicle. All right, now that I have given you driving impressions, it is time to flip the camera around and take a look at the interior of the Volvo C40 Recharge. And the first thing I'm going to point out is the fact that the materials and surfaces are sustainable, recycled materials. And I think that's pretty cool. Because this is an electric vehicle, Volvo wanted to be more socially conscious about the materials that they were using. So while the interior isn't vegan, there is no leather being used. So this right here is not leather, but instead using a lot of recycled materials to make this happen. I also love this blue. I don't know what you think, but I think it looks pretty cool. And this isn't the only option, but come on. I don't know. Volvo did the orange interior in the XC40, and I loved that too. So a little bit quirky, a little bit different, and I just think it looks really cool, especially in the sunlight. It just pops. But okay, outside of the blue, there's just a lot of cool details in here as well. So from the etched material on the side of your vent dials to the topographical map insert that you have on the dash and on the door inserts, the suede material, the stitching and piping that's going on, just a lot of really nice details and a solid feel. So even though this isn't leather, it feels really good in your hands, and it doesn't have like a icky, is that a word I should use? Icky? An icky texture. So I like it. Everything, I mean, including this headliner, just feels pretty good. So I like the recycled use and the details, including this fixed roof panoramic window that you've got going on. So let's talk about this, because this is going to be the new operating system that you will find in the infotainment systems in upcoming Volvos. And it is Google based, so Android based basically. Volvo really wants to get away from touching things. So they've made everything voice activated. And so I'm literally right around the corner from the hotel that I'm staying at, and I had the navigation set to at least get me back in this vicinity. But let's see. Hey Google, cancel my route. So it canceled my route. But I can also say, hey Google, turn up the air.
All right, turning up the fan speed by 1.
Or I can say, hey Google, turn on my heated seat.
Sure, turning on the seat heater for the driver.
So in addition to navigation controls and you know, some of the more Google Assistant-y kind of things that you would get from the system, you can have it do HVAC controls. And I really like the fact that you don't have to put your fingers on the screen really for most operations. But if you were putting your fingers on the screen, this right here is your home button. If you're familiar with Volvo, all of this should look familiar because you've got your maps, you've got your audio, you have if your phone if it's paired, and then the thing that's new here is going to be your range assistant. So it shows you how much range you have. It tells you what is controlling your energy use, and then it tells you your consumption. So you can touch to get those things. If you want to get into some of the apps that you have, so again, you've got your maps, and then you have your audio things. So you could do Bluetooth audio, radio, Sirius XM, and then these are downloaded apps, so Spotify, radio.com. So you would need to have your profile, so your Gmail, Google profile hooked up to this in order to use the Google Play Store to download some of these apps. But once you download them and they've synced to your profile, then it gives you your music choices, your audio preferences, and it syncs to you. So, and the really cool thing is you can do stuff on your phone. Like for Google Maps, set your distance or your navigation destination, and then when you get into the car, and so then you can go to your maps and you can look at your search history, and what you were looking for on your phone will then show up on this unit here, and it'll make it really easy for you to be able to go to a new location. So this is as touchable as you want it to be. And really, there's only one thing that you can't use Google Assistant to get to, and that is going to be Sirius XM radio. And when I asked the Google Assistant to take me to Sirius XM, basically they said they couldn't find it. So that is the one thing that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to press this little app button to get that to pop up, to press Sirius XM radio if you want to access that. But if you want Spotify, if you want YouTube Music or anything like that, you can just use your voice command and get there. But I did find if you wanted to adjust your stations or settings within that, then you had to press some buttons. But I think that Volvo has made it pretty easy. So you've got your home button, you've got your app button, and so it doesn't take a whole lot of taps to get to the functions that you want to touch. So I do like that. Now it is time for the one thing on the interior that I don't like. And do you notice what is missing? What you do not have available here that you have in other non-Google powered operating systems. Let me go back here. Have you got it yet? There is no Apple CarPlay available. And I think that's just temporary. They said that they're working on it, but right now there is no Apple CarPlay. Not wired in, not wireless. There is no Apple CarPlay. However, I have an Apple phone. I paired my phone with the car, and what I found is it would read me my text messages, and it would allow me to send text messages. I just had to ask Google to do it for me. And then when I would get a new text message, it would pop up here, and then you could pull that down and it would show you your notifications. So I have no notifications now. I've unpaired my phone because I'm doing video, but if I had text messages or other notifications, it would show up here, and then you could press it like you would with Apple CarPlay and it would read it to you. So no Apple CarPlay, but there is still a way to do voice to text and voice calling, all by just either pressing this button here or using the magic words, "Hey Google, cancel." Now, because I don't like to end on a sour note with a thing that I don't like, I'm going to give you one more thing that I really love, and that is going to be this. Hey Google, tell me a joke.
What do you call a belt made of watches? A waste of time.
So in addition to telling you the joke, there are actually sound effects. I love it. It's really well thought out, and I've been playing with that all day long, and I haven't heard it tell me the same joke twice. So I wonder how many jokes are in there. Could be something to entertain you on a road trip. Now, before I take a quick walk around of the exterior, one more thing I want to look at is the back seat. Okay, here we are in the back seat of this C40 Recharge, and basically this right here is what I want to show you. You're going to have a little bit of cramped quarters here because, yeah, I'm about the size of an average 10-year-old, and I do have plenty of leg room, and I also have plenty of knee room and plenty of foot room. But I put somebody who is about 6 feet tall back here, and he did not fit. His head was brushing up against the headliner, and he kind of like almost looks like he was in the fetal position sitting back here. Now, this is in the far back position, and so somebody could give him a little bit more leg room, but there's going to be no fixing this. So somebody over 6 feet tall, not really going to fit back here. Or if they do fit back here, it's totally going to be in a pinch. Do you see what I did there? Yeah, pun intended. Okay. So the other thing is, even for somebody my size, because of this slope of the rear roof line, it's going to be a little bit hard to get in and out. I'm going to have to do a little bit of a duck and cover to exit the vehicle. So yeah, I mean, rear seats are okay. You've got cup holders, armrest, you have air vents, heated seats, and USB-C charging ports, but yeah, this is kind of a kids only seat. Now, I'll be honest with you, I spent a long time on the interior, and I'm not going to spend as long of a time on the exterior because, frankly, I find the interior more interesting. But there are a couple of things I do want to point out. And the first is, you're going to be able to tell this is an electric car because, yeah, there's no grille. Now, this still looks like a Volvo. Obviously, it has the Volvo logo, but you get the shape of the Volvo grille here. It's just filled in because you don't need the airflow. So if we continue to walk around the side of the vehicle, you'll notice the Thor headlights, the signature Thor headlights from Volvo, and this is a theme that's going to continue through all of the vehicles, so we're glad to see them here. Then you have the aerodynamic wheels that are really attractive. A lot of wheels on electric vehicles tend to, well, not look good, but Volvo did a really good job with these. And you continue around the side of the vehicle, again, you have very Volvo-esque design cues from this little sculpted bit there to the two-tone exterior. But what is really different on this vehicle is going to be this right here. This is a coupe-like design, and so it has basically a smushed rear end. While this looks really good and it's great for aerodynamics, as we saw when I was looking at the interior, yeah, it's not so good for the headroom. Trade-off. But kids will fit back here just fine. Now, I also want to talk about this right here a little bit because you have your brake light that comes down, and that looks cool. Very Volvo-esque, very signature. So again, when you're coming up on this vehicle, if you can't read Volvo, you're going to know it's a Volvo just because of the tail lights. Now, the blinker is right here. So you have your reverse light here and your blinker here, and it is sequential, and it looks really cool. So I love all of the exterior design details, even though I like the interior more. But one last thing that I want to show you is going to be this. So you do have passive entry on all of the doors. So as long as you have the key on your person, you walk up to any door, you're going to be able to unlock and open the doors. This is really cool though, and I actually had to ask somebody about it because I couldn't figure it out. To get into the vehicle, okay, you got the key on you, you open the door, but how do you start the vehicle? That's it. That just started the vehicle. I put my butt in the seat, the vehicle is now on. All I have to do is put my foot on the brake, put it in gear, and go. So similarly, you know, Volvo typically has one of those turn ignition switches. As you can see, there is nothing like that here. So how do you turn it off? The same way you turned it on. You just get out and shut the door, and the vehicle is off. There's literally no switch to turn the vehicle on or off. Good thing, bad thing, I don't know, but kind of cool. So that is the exterior walk around of the C40. All right, that is all I've got on the Volvo C40 Recharge. As you can tell, I kind of like this one. So thanks for watching, and I will see you down the road.